Sorry. Welcome to Nexcom, and you, Rolf Adamson, CEO in Nexcom, one of the new entrants here on the stock market. So looking forward to hear your very brief story line in 5 minutes. We'll go dig into the numbers, and then we, of course, will return to you so you can defend off our opinions or make some statements. So I will let it over to you, Rolf.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to being here today. As introduced, I'm Rolf Adamson. I'm CEO of Nexcom. And Nexcom is a company who delivers products to large-scale companies with large customer bases who need to deliver a customer experience that's quick, correct, and complete. And this is what our products help these customers do. We have a relatively long history. We were founded in 1997. Because we've been in the market for some time, we have a global footprint, and we have users all over the world. The selection, the typical customers that we service is, as I said, customers with a quite large customer base or a need to interact with their customers on a regular basis. Now, I said global footprint. What does that mean? That means that we have 40,000 users globally. We support 23 different languages. We have activities at the moment across 11 different countries. We support our activities out of our offices in Copenhagen, where I am today, and our office in New York, where I hope to be allowed back in soon. And as I said earlier, our spread of customer base is both national, and that means in the US and in Europe, as well as global customers. Now, who are we? Let's start with our board of directors. We are a growth company, and we're very focused on growth. And we have a board of directors with relevant experience and competences within this sector. Our chairman, Thomas Honoré, with his background from Columbus IT, that has also had a huge growth during the period he was CEO. And here in Nexcom, he's flanked by Peter Hauger, Torius Gülstorff, and Pia Riese, who all have relevant experience and competences to help us along the way on our path to growth, so to speak. On the daily basis, we have a seasoned management team. We all have a solid knowledge of the market. We all have international experience. Myself, I've been in this market for more than 20 years. 8 of the years I've worked internationally, and we really know the market that we're selling into and have done so for many years. We are based on what we call solid and long-term relationships with existing customers. We're very proud that it's been more than 9 years ago since a customer has left Nexcom. And that is for us something we take pride in, because it means that they see no reason to leave us. We coexist with them, and we keep on adding value through our platform. Now, the business model that we have is like most of the other companies here today. We are, of course, based on annual recurring revenue. Our growth focus is based on total revenue, because we also deliver what we define as professional services, additional services for our customers. As you mentioned, we are a newcomer. We became listed on First North, January 29th this year. And the reason for that is because we want to create more growth in our company. As I said earlier, we have existed for many years. We have a solid track record. Now, what we also recognize is that there's a need, and a global need, for our products. And for us to grow, funding and the enabler for that was to become a listed company. So over the next couple of years, we want to grow substantially, and we want to invest in our growth. And as you see here, our projected revenue and revenue growth, the flip side of that is that we need funding to invest in a sales organization, to invest in marketing, to invest in commercial activities. And these are the investments that come out of the proceeds from the IPO. That's simply an investment in our growth. Now, short-term expectations for us on 2021, we've just delivered a Q1 result with 35% growth, which we're quite pleased to have. Most of the type of companies that we are, our growth happens in the second half year. This is also what we project. But a good result in Q1 also means that we can maintain our outlook for the full year of a 60% growth. Now, with that, we have some other figures that are interesting to look at. We are projecting a 45% growth in our existing annual reoccurring revenue, and more than half of the growth is going to come from international markets. For when we say international markets, that's North America for us. Now, it also, as I said, we have the backside of the growth, and that is that this year we are investing heavily in people, in the sales organization, as well as marketing. Now, long term, well, short term, long term, let's call it 3 years, as long term as it is in this business. We have a 3-year growth plan, and we're going to move the company from today 10.5 million DKK to approximately 41 million during the 3 years. So we're going to quadruple the revenue. We're going to maintain the split of 70% revenue of in annual recurring revenue seen as a whole over the 3 years, and we're going to expand from the 13 existing customers to 45 customers. Sorry. Now, this growth is going to come from growing together with existing customers. It's going to be organic, new customers, and it's going to happen through acquisition. That's going to be strategic acquisition. For what's going to be driving our growth, the more long term, is our new product that will be launched in Q3 this year, where we are building artificial intelligence into our platforms, making them even easier to use, easier to deploy. And I've been in the situation myself. I've been a customer on the platforms. I know that there's still some manual work that you as a customer need to invest in. And that is something that we're going to deploy using, or eradicate, so to speak, by deploying AI into our platforms. Now, this is something that when we look long term, this is something that in particularly the US market is something that they are looking for. And this is something that's going to be driving the growth in year 2 and year 3, especially our international growth. And we are at a market where we have a global market that's growing, estimated between $16 billion and $20 billion. So, of course, we are also looking to see, can we expand into Asia together with some of our global clients? Now, as you said, I got a short, brief time scale. I think I managed to keep it up. I could go on all day. So,
I know.
So back to you.
But I think I will let it over to Kasper to elaborate a little bit on your numbers and your figures, how we look at you, and then we will return to you with questions with you, Ralph.
Yeah. So first of all, Nexcom has not a long list of these SaaS metrics yet. However, we hopefully get some in the future. However, if we just look at the numbers, as we estimate, we see that you in 2021 expect about 16.5 million DKK in revenue, revenue. And if we take the historical part of the AR business, it's about, as you said, 70% or in this area. And if we take this into our valuation multiple, we see that you are trading on a 8.3 times ARR multiple.
Yes.
And looking at the churn rate, as you said, it's 0%. So it's
not that we're not reporting it. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly. So that might be the reason. So if we try to put it in in this right chart here, where we're looking at the relationship between growth and valuation multiple, we see if we so in the former presentations we had the historical growth rate. Here we are forced to take the forward estimates, and if we take this one in, we see that if you can deliver the 60% growth, and it will also be on your ARR growth, well then you are traded below the line in terms of the high growth that you have. Again, as I said before, this is not the only factor to look for. We also have the SaaS assessment looking at other parameters. And starting with the key SaaS metrics here, we have placed Nexcom in the green. In the top of the green, we still need to see the very high ARR growth going forward. If it will be there, we will go down to the bottom. Actually, not really, but let's see whether how high the growth will be. Yet the churn, if you can maintain this, of course, it will also have a huge impact on the SaaS metrics. Looking at scalability, you have Nexcom has 13 customers at the moment, both in US and Europe. Maybe we can turn back to this one in the questions in a few minutes. Looking at the technology level, we have placed you very high because you have these data-driven models with AI, and you have so many users that you can use to predict your for your customers in this customer service support and so on. So maybe we can also turn back to this one. And finally, also you touch the market and the market growth, which are very high in your market. So Rolf, let's dig more into it. Let's start with the SaaS metrics. So going forward, how can Nexcom grow more than the market? And maybe you can also tell us about that you at the same time have to keep your churn rate low, hopefully at 0%, and maybe you also have some upselling opportunities that you can elaborate on.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, if we look at our growth, what we have is we both have direct sales and indirect channel sales. So some of our growth is not planned that we actually take on board, but a channel partners will. However, we will own the relationship, and that drives back to our low churn because we have an extremely high lifetime value on each client, and that is, of course, something where we co-develop with customers, and that also improves our ARR on existing clients, because when we develop features for them, it goes into a licensing agreement for the second year. So when we look at our growth is coming from our own sales organization, where we have a sales team in place now. We've started building since January, and the first phase of our US sales was completed the other month. And looking at the ability to build pipeline with the existing products we have, it's going according to scheduled. I know everybody would like me to say it's going better than scheduled, but it is going according to schedule. 60% growth is quite ambitious in itself, so it's going according to plan. And we can see, especially internationally, when we're looking at North America, when we're looking outside our European hemisphere, that there is a demand for our products. And especially digitalizing existing manual work is something that COVID has pushed. Now, on one hand, COVID has, of course, had an impact on our ability to arrange sales meetings. On the other hand, it's shown our customer prospects the need to become digitalized, and in a world where we need to be more decentralized than we typically have been. So, doing digital and automated workflows is something that especially the US market is looking for very heavily at the moment. So that's why we maintain our outlook for the year.
Cool. I think we'll turn or go to the next question here. So can you also elaborate on your onboarding process, the decision-making process for your customers and so on, in terms of the scalability of your solution?
Well, some of what we do is today called robotics, and now we've been delivering intelligent automation, as we call it, for many years. And part of onboarding is something that we ourselves have automated and digitalized. So we can adapt very quickly to when we get new clients and new customers on board, and which means that if we look at our automated workflow platform, we can get you up and running within 8 days. So we can start answering inquiries in the platform 8 days after we initiate implementation. So, and this is something because we take our own medicine as well, and we have automated extensively in the platforms that we have. So implementation is something that we believe does not have to take very many resources, and an enabler for that is use our automation. So we, of course, use automation when we implement, so we can scale quite heavily without having to dedicate far too many resources taking on board customers.
Perfect. We have touched the technology level and the market, so let's go to the last of our main questions here. Why invest in Nexcom relative to other SaaS companies? Yeah.
Well, if you look at Nexcom as a company, I believe that the products that we have delivered towards a market that's in growth. As I said earlier in the presentation, we are in a market that's growing between 16 and 20 billion US dollars. We do believe that the little slice that we want to carve out for ourselves, that there is a justification and a space for us. On top of that, when we look at the market in growth, the need for these types of products is not just growing because of growth, it's growing because the reopening of the world is putting this on everybody's digitalization, on everybody's agenda. So there is the market need. We understand how to address that need. And we also understand, we've been running operations ourselves. We understand the pain points that our customers have when we start selling in.
Perfect. But we have some questions from the audience. You said that you were investing into growth sales and marketing and product expansion. Can you elaborate maybe a little bit more on it? I know I made you do it fast, so here I will let you elaborate a little bit on it.
Yeah. So in terms of direct sales, we are recruiting a sales organization that's ever growing. We had one sales representative at New Year. Today, we have an entire team of approximately, we have 6 people in the US. We have 2 people now, because the one has gone off, so to speak. That was me doing selling. So I'm trying to be CEO more than sales. So we have a team now of 8 salespeople coming in. In general, we've grown also in marketing, where we have more people and agencies helping us. So looking at our direct sales approach, we now have, as I said, 8 people doing direct sales. And that is part of how we look at how we deliver towards our customers, is primarily through our direct sales. That is the main driver of our growth. We do have channels. And we do have distribution agreements with channels operators. However, we also want to take the ownership, because, as you said, we have a very low churn. We want to keep it that way. And one of the indicators from our existing customers is that as long as we own the relationship and they're dealing directly with us, everybody's happy. So that's not something we want to jeopardize, but we of course want to try and benefit from having a channel operated sales organization that will then in turn hand over to us.
And there's also a little bit about maybe you touched on the product expansion, and there's a question: how do you manage your customers' professional service needs and your product development, your own development focus? How do you are you making sure those two are aligned? That you're not making a product running in the near way, that you do it on focusing on the customer side.
Yeah, well, we have a product development roadmap that's open and available for our existing customers. So our customers are the people who design our product roadmap. It's not Rolf having a good idea together with Ian, our head of development, saying this is what we want and this is what would be nice to build. We reverse that situation and say the customer demand is what drives our development. So our roadmap is available for all customers. We have quarterly meetings with people who input to them. And they can explain why do they have the need, what do they see the need to do, how do they want it. Lots of the features that we have in our product have been coded by us, but kind of co-designed with customers. So we do believe firmly in having the customer involved in product design and process design, and not being kind of detached from that part and just thinking of good ideas. Lots of the good ideas that are in our platforms come from our customers.
And just to be sure, I understand it, then that can be rolled out to all your customers if they would choose to do that, and the next customer will buy into the enhanced product developed by you and your customers. So there's no propriety where they own it.
We own the propriety. The IP is ours. It may have influenced by customers, but at the end of the day, it's no single customer who designs anything for us. If that is the case, then we do a separate agreement with them if they want to keep the solution with them. That's never happened in our lifetime. We've always had a good communication with all of our customers, and we can roll out to the entire customer base when there are good ideas.
And I think we are very focused on the churn side, but of course the upselling side. What are your possibilities there? You have shown no churn. I know it's early stage, but on the upselling side, that's also the land and expand. Is there some possibilities, because you have nice client and a huge product? Is there some upselling potential for when you develop further on your products?
Absolutely, and also because we have two main product lines. We have the automated workflow that's very much based on quantity, how we actually interact, how we get this to work. Do we communicate through social media? Do we do email? Do we do chat? And then we have our quality platform that's there to make sure that when we give an answer to a customer, that it is the right answer. And when we look at the quality side, we can of course upsell onto the quality side and vice versa. So we do have customers who are what we call single users, and they have one product. But we also see that we can move from the quantity side, from the automated workflow, into the quality side. And that upsell exists quite frequently. And we still have approximately 30% of our revenue coming in from what we call professional services. That is specifically upselling and applying new features and solutions to customers.
Perfect. Thank you, Rolf. That was nice for you to clarify the last one. As always, it's a very short period. I know you would like to talk more.
Oh, I could go on forever.
We have to throw you out now. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.